Hey guys, Jeff Kamke here with Wealth Energetics. So in today's video, I want to share with you something personal. About a week ago, my dad passed away somewhat unexpectedly. And I want to share with you a little bit about this journey and the steps that I've taken to help me process this through. So my dad, he was 66 and he had come off a second stroke just before Christmas. And he'd been dealing with some high blood pressure for quite a while, and he was progressing with his care and his rehab. Things were looking good, and within a couple day period of time, things took a turn, and he ended up passing away. And while it was a huge shock to us, there was part of me that kind of knew it was coming, and kind of felt it, and certainly wouldn't wish this. It's not the way I wanted to write the script. I'd love for him to still be with us, but he's not. And I have to trust God's timing in this, and the perfection that comes with this type of a situation. And I want to share a few things of what I've done in the past and what I did to help process this through. Not that I'm perfect about it, obviously. I'm still going to have sad days and all that, but there were some things that I've learned that I want to pass forward that may help you in a similar situation. So a few of them are actual things I've done. A few of them are just things I've learned, mental concepts and some things to position and use frameworks around to understand all of this. So let's go through a few of those things. So one of the things that's come in probably the strongest for me is the skill set of learning my sixth sense, learning that intuitive sense, or as others call your emotional guidance system. So we have information coming into our body that is from God. It's a direct connection, obviously, in from God. We have our own knowledge base that we can draw from to gain wisdom from experiences and those aspects of life, right? And so we have this intuitive ability to read energy, some call it, to be able to pick up information that maybe wasn't ours or was right by us. It comes from out there. We can do that. And so by fine-tuning that ability, and I'm certainly no guru at it, I feel like I've got a long way to go. I feel like I'm in elementary school with it, but it has helped me through this process. And the reasons it's helped me through this process is because I've been able to connect with my dad. One of the things that we do here with Wealth Energetics is not just sharing money principles, but also the inner work and what to do to update the subconscious patterns that we have that keep us underperforming in our life. And through those types of bioenergetic works that I've done, you can do remote work with people. You can tune into people remotely, energetically. And I've had numerous occasions with my dad where I have worked on him, done some bioenergetic balancing work, and I have never touched him. I've not been in his physical presence. Maybe at the other side of the house, I may be 2 hours away when we lived a ways away from him for a few years. But I've been able to tune into him and help. I remember one instance in particular. He had been laying underneath the car doing some car repairs, and his neck, something happened in his neck, and he had vertigo really bad and was throwing up. And he called me and was like, "Hey, can you work on me?" So I did. And within a few minutes, the vertigo was gone and he was up, back to normal, right? No more dizziness, no more vomiting, anything like that. And so that ability to tune into other energy, not just my dad, it's other energy, has come in handy. And it was because once he passed, I could still tune into him, even though his physical body is no longer functioning, but his spirit is still alive. His spirit moved on. And I've consumed a lot of near-death experience, videos on the internet. And part of my personal development training is understanding energy and how energy works, and knowing that there's consciousness to everything. And so just because he passed away, it's more not that my dad passed away, it's that the shell that his spirit and soul was being carried around in 3D planet Earth, that's no longer functioning. But I know that he is in the spirit world. I know he is into the universal consciousness now, and he can be everywhere. He can communicate in different ways. So in ways, it's been very cool because within the next morning, he passed, right after bedtime, basically, early evening, early overnight hours, I guess. And then by the next morning, I could feel his presence. I could feel him almost like just standing right next to me, just like behind me, like his arm was touching my arm. excuse me. And that was a very powerful realization there. I felt like his arm was around me. There was a few times where he's spoken to me. Just out of the blue, he'll say something to me. And the few things that he said to me is, you know, I've got you, son. And you were with me, and now it's my turn to be with you, because I was with him a lot in the hospital right after his second stroke. I was up there a ton by his side. I felt like that was a necessity for me to be there for him. And those kind of feelings that I've had has helped me navigate this a little smoother, right? To feel his presence and to be able to be at peace with him, no longer here in physical form on earth, but know that he's with me always in spirit. And I always have him. I can talk to him. And it's not talking to the memory of him. I'm actually talking to him in a different form. It's the full him. And the feeling I get about my dad is not that he's still my dad in physical. His name was Dwayne. He's not Dwayne in physical like I knew him. The feeling I have of him is that because he's in universal consciousness, he's tapped into all knowledge. I can basically feel that he's like a sage master now. And when he has spoken to me or I've asked him certain questions, I get a very short, few word response. Like I said, I was with you, or you were with me. Now it's my turn to be with you. Those types of things, just very short, but they were very powerful. And when he said them to me. And so my ability to tune into more energy has helped me process this through. So if it's something that you haven't done a whole lot with, this is maybe a brand new concept to you about energy, and some of these, maybe it's a little far out for you. That's okay. Think back to times in your life, we've all had them, where you had a gut feeling about something, whether you should do something or maybe you should avoid doing something, and it turned out to be right. Like, wow, I knew something ahead of time. I had an intuitive ping, a voice that said, don't go there, or don't do that, or maybe you should do this, or maybe you should talk to this person. Maybe it's in business, I should talk to this person. And maybe you overcame some fear and did it anyway, and it turned into a business deal, something like that, right? We all have those experiences. And when we listen to our gut intuition never steers us wrong. Our gut intuition is always going to lead us in the right direction. So it's something I would encourage you to practice doing. Get better at tuning into your gut. And the times that you've listened to your gut feeling, pay attention to the feelings that it gave you and where you located those feelings in your body. And the times that you didn't pay attention to those gut feelings, analyze that as well. Where did I feel it, and what lessons did I learn? And, I did feel it here in my body, and I felt this emotion maybe, and I didn't listen to it. So I know when I feel that again, I need to listen, right? So using intuition and practicing it can be a very, very powerful way for you to get better in a lot of areas, because it could mean you're a public speaker. And if you can pick up the energy from the room, you can know how to best communicate with the room. If you're in a one-on-one sales situation with someone and you can read their energy more than just hearing their words, you have an advantage, right? You can serve that client in a better way. If you have children, you can read the energy of your children, right? You can figure out if you got two of them that are telling an opposing story about who started the fight. Intuitively, you're going to probably know. And you might even be able to do something called muscle testing, which I'm not going to get into here, but that's a great way. Stick out your arm, son. Did you do it? Arm goes weak, it's a no. If the arm strong, it's a yes. You can do stuff like that. So that was one of the big powerful things that, has helped me through this process of losing my dad. And sure, it's been a gut punch. Sure, I've cried my eyes out those first few days, but knowing that he's with me now has given me a sense of accomplishment, a sense of peace, and the ability to move forward, and in the ability to know that things are moving in the right direction. And he's going to be with me for what's to come. And I've sensed a very strong responsibility to carry on. One of my best friends sent me a text message the morning after my dad had passed, telling just a real quick principle that he had heard he was passing along. And it was basically that, together, my dad and I had, done what we've done together. We were who we were together. And that now my dad's no longer here in his body on earth, that what is the remaining parts of my dad in physical form, the memories, the things that have been lessons taught, how he's impacted people. And now that he's into full consciousness in the spiritual world, he can speak through me and work through me in ways that he couldn't before. And I feel that wonderful responsibility to continue on with that mission and to be able to be the vessel for what my dad still wants to accomplish from the other side. And that's been a very cool thing to see some pieces already fall into place with that. And so while I mourn my dad and miss my dad, it's been very exciting to see the pages turn, the chapter turn to this is what life looks like now. I'm excited about what's coming. And I know my dad's right there by my side. I know that when I need him, I can lean on him. I can ask him questions. I know he'll speak to me if I need it. But again, it's been in a situation where he's not going to say too much. I'm reminded back to the early 2000s when the Lakers, the basketball team, the pro basketball team, were doing very good with Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Phil Jackson was the coach. And I know Phil Jackson would let the team, if they were down 20, 30 points in a game, most coaches are going to, get all fired up and call timeout and, yell at the guys and try to get them straightened around. Phil Jackson would just stand there, watch the guys go up and down the court. And in post-game interviews, he'd say, I just need to let the guys figure it out for themselves. And there's a sense of empowerment that happens with that. And that's kind of the feeling I've had with my dad is he'll speak to me here and there, give me a nugget or two, something that's profound that I need. But most of the time he's going to be hands off and I can just feel his presence there. And I know that I've got the confidence to move forward with things that, are on my path now. And I think another thing that's been very beneficial with all this is just life in itself, the course that we go through. My dad taught me to be very self-sufficient and to try to fix things. If something's wrong with the car, or something's wrong with something in the house, try to figure it out. And, I've been blessed to learn from that and have that to model. And I've built up my own confidence over time to be able to do a lot of those things. And now I know that I can handle that stuff on my own. And I don't need my dad. My dad's now in a different position where he can help me at a totally different level and help me more of a purpose-driven thing, a spiritual process, and what I'm here to contribute to the world in my remaining days, how many ever I have them here, and to be able to have my dad there by my side in a different form to help that manifest is just a very cool thing. So those are a few things that I've learned just going through this process. A few things that I've done of our bioenergetic work that you might find valuable is doing what we call central channel breathing. And so leading up to this stage where my dad's health was starting to decline, and I knew that these days were probably coming where at some point he would be passing away, and there'd be poor health maybe before that, and maybe not dad like I knew him. I had been the last few years thinking ahead of what will life be like, and obviously you don't know for sure. You have an idea of some of the emotions that are going to get keyed up of if my dad's no longer here, how does that make me feel? I can visualize and imagine him already passing. What's that going to be like? And you can do some what we call clearing to release some of those emotions ahead of time. And that can make it easier during the actual experience. And I feel like that did benefit me to some level. You still can never be totally prepared for what it's really like in real time with, watching your kids and your wife cry and you're having my mom cry. And it's still very, very difficult, but it does help accelerate the process, and not by burying it or not dealing with it, but like truly processing it faster, letting your nervous system catch up and go through it faster. So, I was doing some of that work, even in the last few years. Again, the central channel breathing, which is breathing like up through the ground, up into your body, then exhaling out the top of your body, and then breathing back in to your abdomen and exhaling out through your feet into the earth. And repeating that is a very grounding thing. It's a very powerful breathing pattern that can do a lot of things for your nervous system and your energetics to bring you back into your body, to get you out of your head and the emotions that can sometimes swirl, and to ground you and be able to help you process emotions much faster. And I was also doing that during, those first few days after he had passed, making sure I'm keeping myself grounded, keeping me in my body, allowing emotions to come up and feel them. And then kind of an advanced way of doing the breathing is you can actually, if you're thinking about, in this case, the passing of my dad, I can say, oh man, I really feel it in my throat, or I kind of feel it in my heart, or maybe it's down in my gut, my abdomen area. Putting a hand on that area and then doing that breathing pattern can be a way to release those stuck emotions, those trapped emotions, and reduce the intensity of those emotions that you're feeling. So those are a few things you can do. There's other things that, I'll have other videos that go into it on this channel about thought field therapy, which is a tapping. You might have heard of tapping, emotional freedom technique. It's a very powerful way to do it. There's something called the Empower March that is a actual position you put your body in to help release and update the subconscious to the emotions that we go through and that get stuck. We can release those and update the subconscious to where we want to go and what's present in our life right now. And there'll be some other things as well that we'll talk about. So again, wanted to share this. It was, very big event in my life, and came with the sadness, came with the mourning, but it's also come with some very positive things. And there was some things that I've done and been able to learn, fortunate enough to learn, that's helped me navigate this whole process quicker. So hopefully you found value in this. If you have any questions around this, if you've been through a similar experience, share it in the comments below. I'd like to know what you found that helped you go through it. If you have questions about this, if you're dealing with something like this and you don't know what to do, reach out. I'm always here to help, point you in the right direction, and help you move through some different emotions with some of our bioenergetic work. That's a possibility. You can book a call with me doing that in the description as well. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do click that subscribe button. Make sure you click the bell to be notified when we produce more videos on abundance, wealth, money, health, relationships, all things related to making you better in your life holistically. So again, we'll catch you guys soon on the next video. So make it a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.